Hello and welcome to the Men's League TV report for August the 9th, 2023. I'm glad to be back and had a good day yesterday. The conditions were soggy, no carts allowed. Yet we still had some pretty good shooting out there. First of all, congratulations to Darren McCready. Got a net 29. Shot a great round of 36. He's in the C, so that's really good. He got two birdies, so wonderful for him. And he was low net at 29 and wins a $25 prize. Fine performances turned in by Charles Funk and Brad Davis. Brad also shot a 36 gross. They had net 30, so I'll talk more about them later. Scoring wasn't as good as last week, and that's to be expected. Last week conditions were just perfect. Not surprising, but still pretty good. We had 31 players, 20 more points. Which is considering the soggy conditions yesterday, that was good. And 11 teams, 40 or more points. So not too bad. Overall leader, Steven Zegel has been climbing the leaderboard fast. Last week he was a B player. This week is an A player. And he's also our new leader with 225 points. He's two better than Glenn Coyle. And I should mention, and congratulations, Steve, for playing so well lately. But the pace of this year's men's league is much slower than last year. Last year at this time, Robert Mustard had 237 points and was running away. The race was basically over. He was like 8 points ahead of everybody else, and he was climbing. He was playing great. This year, it's wide open. I mean, there's so many players that can win this thing. They're all bunched up between 225 and 200 and a couple of good scores, and we got a lot of weeks left to be the overall champion. So several players can win this thing, and so it's a wide open race, and it should be interesting to watch. Okay, skins report. Jared Coyle has been playing great golf this year. He plays great every year, but this year 31 birdies. Just four behind Robert Mustard's record-setting pace last year. Robert had 48 birdies last year. Jared's just four behind that pace. But hurting in his skins. I mean, the poor guy. He's been birdieing and birdieing and birdieing. I remember one week last year, I think he had 3 or 4 birdies in the round. He was out with his dad. His dad birdied one hole. His dad won the only skin that day, won about $200. Poor Jared. I mean, the guy's just been snake bitten by this. Well, Jared, that ended yesterday. Your birdie on number 9 was the only A birdie, and you won $185. Am I ever happy for you? Because poor guy, he's just been snake bit the whole time. Good for you, Jared. I mentioned Brad Davis earlier. Brad Davis had a birdie on number 6 in the B's. It was the only skin, and he won $170. And good for him. I mentioned Darren McCready. Darren won the low net yesterday. Darren had a great day yesterday. He had 2 birdies, 1 on 5, 1 on 6. There just happened to be 2 skins in C, both won by Darren McCready, both worth $75. So he's $150 richer. Good for you guys. And indeed, we had 2 winners. Doug Boucher's birdie on number 3 and Matt Delorier's birdie on 8, each won $65. So it was a good night for single winners. Every time I seem to win a skin, it's like shared with about 15 other players. So good for you guys. I'm happy for you. Okay, we're now getting close to playoff time in the team playoffs. We only really have 3 more weeks for you to improve your seeding. And it gets critical at this time of year to make sure you're as good as possible, because tiebreakers for each of the divisions are dependent on how well you're doing now. I'm just going to show you what this means. Let me just share the screen with you. Yeah, come on, man. All right. And where are we here? Not that one. Not that one. This one. Okay, so this is a team captain's report. This is your team seedings right now. You notice that the top 16 teams are all shaded one color, but these are the numbers you want to look at right here. Brian Sheridan's team and Chris Burns' team and Cal Alberuni's team are all tied with 460 points. The way we're going to break that tie is the week, if they're still tied after 18 weeks, whoever was winning week 17 moves ahead. So that's why it's important to get as many points. I start saving the sheets now to figure out who was ahead the week before, and those are tiebreakers. So you want to be as good as possible on these weeks. If we just look at the cutoff point for between B and C, it's a clean cutoff. Clark Cada's team's got 454. Jim Trenholm's team's got 453. So there are going to be 3 sets of playoffs. Every team is in the playoffs, but you certainly want to be in the A playoffs if you can, because that's where you can win your green fees or your member men's league fees the next year, $100 off those. I should mention that Team Aerosmith's team has won this before, and they are on fire right now. They're playing great golf, and they look to be a lock to be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. But we'll see. We still have some teams up here that can do some damage. They're replacing lower scores. Your best 12 count. So that's what's happening. The other thing that's happening, and by the way, the team playoff starts September 6th. On September 13th, we have the flight playoffs, the flight championships. And the first part of that is in each particular flight, the top 4 players will play off in a intersectional type format, match play type format for 9 holes. The winner then will go on to the following week in the overall flight championship. The first round of playoffs is worth $50, and the overall championship is worth $100. Now, in this case, I'm going to summarize. You just take the top 4. If you just look at this finalist thing, I've summarized the top 4. So it's in the A's right now, it's these 4. Now, there could be some ties here. I didn't check that because it's still early. You still have 4 weeks to improve your standing, but keep an eye on this. And the B's, these are the top 4. C's, these are the top 4, and D's, these are the top 4. And the tricky thing here is, let's suppose Eric has a really great week. He might not be leading the B's next week. He might be in the A's, and he might be leading the A's. So this is what happened with Steven Ziegler. He was a B player last week, and now he's an A player, and now he's leading A's. If he has a couple of bad weeks and he falls back to B, well, then he'll be leading the B. So it's kind of interesting to see what happens here. So keep an eye on that. Those are the flight championships, and they'll be beginning September 13th. Just on a final note, I just wanted to mention something happened yesterday that I don't think's ever happened before in men's league. We had 6 players with 3 or more, or 3 birdies. I don't recall that so many players doing that. We've had great performances, but not so many, and conditions the way they were. Also, Ryan O'Neill came pretty close to winning the putting challenge. The putting challenge is anyone with 9 putts in a round. Ryan had 10. So we've only had 2 players do that this year. I think Andrew Jeanette was the other, and so it's getting close. Getting close. Anyway, that's all I have for this week. And all I wanted to say is until next week, everybody, play well.